The fight for independence by the Scottish against the English began in 1296 when King Edward Longshanks invaded Scotland with his army, and he stole the Stone of Scone from the Palace of Scone and took it back to London. And today we see under King Edward's chair this stone for the coronation of kings and queens. In 1709 the Scottish lost their independence when the British and Scottish parliaments agreed to be ruled from London, and the Union Jack was created with the blue cross of St Andrew from the Scottish flag and the red cross of St George from the English flag, representing the new union of nations called Great Britain. Then on the 16th of April 1746, the Jacobite forces of Charles Stuart were decisively defeated at Culloden by the Hanoverian Germany mercenary forces near Inverness in the Scottish Highlands. The Hanoverian victory at Culloden halted the Jacobite intent to overthrow the House of Hanover and restore the House of Stuart to the British throne. After that battle, the Scottish were no longer allowed to wear a kilt or carry a bagpipe or gun, and many Scottish were cleared off their land, and many were sent as mercenaries to India, where 8 out of 10 died from either being wounded in battle or from malaria. By the time the British began to immigrate to New Zealand in the early 1800s, many of them had suffered from the loss of their culture and displacement. Many had travelled from Great Britain to India before reaching the Antipodes to settle Australia and New Zealand. In New Zealand, Dunedin became a Scottish settlement that was named after Edinburgh, meaning New Eden. Christchurch, Wellington, Hastings, New Plymouth and Auckland all had English names. The British also brought with them the Hebrew Christian religion. In the early 1800s, the missionaries arrived and began encouraging the Maori to become Christians, and by 1842, 3,000 had been baptised. In 1835, the flag of independence was created with the Maori chiefs from Northland, with the support of Christian missionaries who encouraged the Maoris to lease their lands rather than selling it. It is thought that over 100,000 Maoris lived in New Zealand around 1800, but the musket wars saw the Maoris kill or displace about 60,000 of their own population between 1815 and 1835, and another 20,000 were estimated to have died from displacement and diseases like the measles, as well as from the Maori Wars against the British, where 2,000 Maoris and 800 British died. The Treaty of Waitangi, signed in 1840, says in Article 1 that the British Crown has sovereignty, and in return the Crown promised the Maoris their resources in Article 2 and equality in Article 3. All the Crown governors, Hobson, Fitzroy and Grey, were all Freemasons, as were most of their Crown supporters. Soon after the treaty was signed, Honihiki cut down the 4 flagpoles because of breaches to the treaty, and less than 30 years later the Maori Wars became the land grab for the British soldiers and settlers, which was feared all along. 2 lawyers and a brother of the lodge, Messrs. Whittaker and Russell, in Auckland, were the Freemasons who organised the Bank of New Zealand to pay for the Maori Wars and took as security land in the Waikato, Taranaki and Hawke's Bay, initially as security for the Jewish Bank of England. The 3rd Chief Justice in New Zealand, Prendergast, was a Freemason and Jew from London's Temple Bar, who in 1877 ruled that the Treaty of Waitangi was a simple nullity, having been signed by primitive barbarians. Even though witchcraft was prohibited in New Zealand, the Freemasons were able to practice their occult or crafty science, as they called it,